3, 2, 1. It's Victory Wednesday. Let's go, man. It's the first weekend all season. Both our teams won, so, we got to do something special. We're rocked out in orange. Like, this is the Orange Podcast, apparently. This should be sponsored by the fruit, the orange. I'm in my Anthony Munoz Vintage Hall of Fame. Best offensive lineman in the game. You're in some...
My Peyton Manning jersey, the guy who won a Super Bowl for the Broncos. I told you guys I wouldn't wear my back-to-back jerseys, and I would have worn my Lindsey jersey, but I couldn't go back on my word.
Wasn't he more of a Colt? He was more of a Colt.
Still won a Super Bowl with the Broncos, so it doesn't matter. He
did win a Super Bowl, so I'll give him that. But let's go. We'll do Victory Wednesday. We'll start off with the Bengals, give some love to them. But who they say gonna beat them Bengals? Nobody!
Only reason I'm going to let you do that first because you guys wore your crispiest jerseys you have. Those white jerseys.
The only thing that we
gave you so much extra oomph, too, on that. I mean,
it was also, we dominated our win. You guys get some love for the comeback. We dominated a team that everybody thought was pretty good in the Tennessee Titans. So now let's give some love to the Broncos. You know what the Broncos like.
Man, it's just a mile-high salute, baby. Like it's Denver sports. If your initials are LAC, do yourself a favor and don't play a Denver team. Do not play a Denver team. Because if you're the Clippers, you're the Chargers, you're an LA team with a C, don't play Denver, baby, because leads are meant to be broken.
That was bad, and I even picked the Broncos last week saying the Chargers find a way to lose in Denver. The Chargers find a way to lose, period. Have you seen the stat that Barstool posted earlier today? There are 38 games in the last 5 years that they've lost by one possession or less. That's the definition. I'm not going to say like mentally weak, but like they just find weird ways. We've been hard on the Falcons for...
Chargers and Falcons, if they were to play each other, someone would have to win. That game may go...
I think they play at some point this year because the AFC West and the NFC South are all playing each other. But, I mean, we've been giving a lot of crap to the Falcons. The Chargers deserve a healthy heaping as well because that's not good what they've been able to do.
Yeah, let's talk about that game a little bit. So all those Justin Herbert hype train, Jimmy was kind of on that because he was off of it. He was off of it, but he gave him love at the beginning of the year. So I'll say a little bit hype train. But all those guys on the Herbert hype train, just want to fill you all in. Just Drew Lock outplayed Justin Herbert. Facts.
No.
100% facts.
No.
90% passer rating on Sunday.
Oh.
Justin Herbert threw 2 interceptions, costly, had chances to seal the win, and couldn't put touchdowns in the end zone. Only was able to put up field goals, and their defense fell apart, and Drew Lock dominated the second half.
I'm not going to give you the fact that he outplayed him because in the first 3 quarters, Drew Lock was quarterbacking one of the worst offenses in Broncos history. And that's not...
First two quarters and a half. Let's not... End of the 3rd quarter, it was completely
He finished the game... It was like watching the Broncos when Tebow was the quarterback because... You just had a feeling something was going to happen, some sort of magic was going to happen at the end of the game. And it was great. It brought back all those great memories. The story, especially around the Denver sports media market, has been, it's similar to when Elway went into Baltimore and beat the Colts in his rookie season. Hadn't looked great up until that point. Ends up leading a huge comeback in the 4th quarter. But Justin Herbert did not get outplayed by Drew Lock because Drew Lock was as bad a quarterback as I've seen play for the Broncos. He was Trevor Siemian reincarnate up until he hit some magic clutch. He had some magic clutch gene in the 3rd quarter that he hit, but up until that point, he was a bad quarterback, and it was a bad game that he was playing. He finished the game better, but he did not outplay Justin Herbert.
He outplayed us because he walked away with a W, and what didn't go home on a plane back to LA, San Diego, whatever it may be. So he did outplay him.
He got bailed out by the defense. The defense finally did what they were supposed to do. Kareem Jackson bailed him out after his bad interception.
Bryce Callahan
did bail him out. Kareem Jackson was all over the field, headhunting. I thought Steve Atwater had put pads back on and was out there playing again. He was laying people out. Sometimes his own player, AJ Bouye, friendly fire, but it happens. The defense did look pretty good, and it was a good win, and it does feel like now it's not out of the realm of possibility. They're in the hunt now.
1.5 games back.
Yeah,
1.5 games back. Next 3 opponents are the Falcons on the road, Oakland at home, and then we play Miami as well. 3 very, very winnable games. You then can get yourself 1 game above 500, and you're right in the wild card spot. Are we Super Bowl contenders? No, not right now. Are we playoff contenders? Hell yeah, we are.
But it's better than I thought they were ever going to be going into the halfway point of the season. I didn't think that they would be able to win some of the games that they have. and now my ESPN is not pulling up, but I can't think of. I thought that they had a chance to steal one against the Titans, and I thought after that they would kind of go downhill, but they've bounced back fairly well.
All of our losses are against teams who are in the playoffs. Let me remind you that. All of our 4 losses: Chiefs, best in their division; Titans, first, second in their division; Steelers, undefeated. And I'm spacing on the last one, but Buccaneers, who are also top of their division. Mm-hmm. All teams who are in the playoffs. We've beat the Patriots on the road. Chargers with the next big thing, Justin Herbert. Beat him after being down 21 points. That's 3-touchdown lead. If you can't hold a 3-touchdown lead in 20 minutes in the second half, your team's not good. That's plain and simple. Your team's not good.
Well, let's be honest. Nobody thought this Broncos offense going into yesterday was going to be able to score 31 points after what it had looked like. Drew Lock came into the game the 33rd out of 33 starting quarterbacks in the league that season up until this point. There's the argument to be made that we hadn't really seen this offense all together because Philip Lindsay was hurt week 1, and then Cortland Sutton hasn't been able to be out on the field. But this is the first time they had a couple games to get used to each other. Pat Shurmur is a awful offensive football play caller. He is not good at calling plays. He did the right thing towards the end of the game. I don't know if he was told to or if he decided to, but scrap whatever game plan we came up with and go let the kid play the way that he likes to, and it ended up working for him. But Pat Shurmur the offense needs to be figured out. So this is not. I feel good about the win, but I don't feel where you feel about the win because I don't have faith that this offense is going to be scoring 31 points every single week.
The thing is, it doesn't matter if you don't have to score 31 points. Your defense just needs to hold the other team under 20. And the defense has shown that. Last week against the Chiefs, it was a shit show, but a lot of those points weren't on the defense. It was on the offense being terrible. This week,
they got stronger towards the end of the game, but they started off fairly slow.
Exactly, but the defense this week, it was not as good in the second half as it was in the first half, and that kept us in the game. And then the defense stepped up, and when the defense was struggling, the offense was able to get through. Shurmur has not been a good offensive coordinator as of yet right now, but the one thing I will have to say is you have to keep him around. You cannot get rid of him because Drew Lock can't have 3 coordinators in his first 3 years. You have to stick with Shurmur. Let Shurmur develop his offense around Drew Lock, get that thing going, and it starts with making Philip Lindsay your RB1. Listen to this stat. Philip Lindsay in his two first seasons in the NFL has had 1,000 yards rushing. One of 7 players to do it. Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, Chris Carson, and Philip fucking Lindsay. The dude is an animal, and he's getting 6 touches? There's a problem right there. Yeah, Melvin Gordon's got a hype, but Philip Lindsay only getting 6 touches after he's put up back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons is ridiculous. Alvin Kamara hasn't been able to do that. Todd Gurley hasn't done that. Le'Veon Bell hasn't done that. Nick Chubb hasn't done that. And all these guys are top running backs in the league. And we're not talking about Philip Lindsay enough. It's ridiculous. That offense started with Philip Lindsay going off and digging that touchdown. Melvin Gordon wouldn't have gotten that far. Let's be honest. He wouldn't have hit the hole like Lindsay does because no one runs downhill harder I've seen in the NFL right now than Philip Lindsay. And that's why the offense needs to go through him. Once Drew Lock got comfortable, it was after Philip Lindsay was running the ball hard. The best thing a young quarterback can have is a good running game because that opens everything up.
Yeah, but you got to be willing to open yourself up. Anything that they did in the first 3 quarters yesterday should not be called again in the season. I don't care if Shurmur has more time to establish his offense. His offense sucks. He was established.
Having himself a day, it's just one of those things where it's just ridiculous. Derrick Henry was going to run the ball 40 times a game, and for that to happen, your defense has to make changes and make adjustments and slow the game down so your offense can do that. Because if not, then you're making Tannehill play the game like how he should not be doing. Yeah, that's forcing things downfield.
And they did. What surprised me, and I'll give you the stat line of the top performers for the Titans in passing, rushing, and receiving. Tannehill finished 18 of 30 for 233 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not a bad game. Derrick Henry, 18 carries for 112 yards. He had a touchdown. Corey Davis, 8 receptions, 128 yards, and a touchdown. And yet the Bengals still won by 11. They still won 31-20. So it's not like everybody showed up and Tannehill had 5 interceptions. Derrick Henry didn't rush for over 40 yards, and they didn't have a receiver. They were making plays, but the defense now they're talented and they've gotten a lot better. The Bengals defense is now to the point where They could you can move the ball between the 20s. Their red zone defense has gotten so much better with the bolstering at linebacker, getting rid of crybaby Carlos Dunlap. You bitch, I hate you. Screw your 10 years in the jungle. The way that you left means that you have no right to be there. But the defense is a lot better. They played a lot better. And Geno Atkins still is out. So they have Geno Atkins coming back at some point. They look good. I was really happy with the way that they played. And Joe Mixon, their best offensive player, didn't even play.
Yep.
So
there's a lot to build on for the Bengals, 100%. The Titans, their defense, I mean, you saw they went out and traded for Desmond King from the Chargers. Yeah. Chargers look like they're tanking again this year. Trying to get some more weapons for Herbert because now they have a quarterback to build upon. So it looks like they're in the shitter all over again. But I think Titans will still win their division. I think that division's still theirs to lose, but they have to be better than that. But I'll give more credit to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a stud. So
yeah,
I'll say to everybody, Joe Burrow's a stud.
Joe Burrow not going nowhere. He's going to retire a Bengal, very rich.
You better hope so. You better hope so.
He's trust.
If he doesn't retire a Bengal, you better have their heads. I'll let you join the Broncos fan base.
It would be full scale riot in Southeast Ohio and North Kentucky because Joe Burrow. I mean, you forget that Athens loves him because he's raised so much money for like his hometown and the starving children. He's raised a ton of money for them, and he's elevated every single place. His dad is a legend at the University of Ohio. He has so many fans all throughout that region that he's going to be there for a long time, and he's going to be a fixture, and he's more than happy with it because, yeah, it'd be great to be on a team who's going to be competing for championships, but I think Burrow wants to be on the team that he takes to the championship. He doesn't want to be just a piece. He wants to be the guy that they built the championship.
Burrow to the Bengals is what all Browns fans thought Baker would be, and Baker hasn't showed it yet, but there's some positive in spurts.
We'll talk about another quarterback who I'm going to say it now. I think the Packers. I've said it for the last couple weeks. We're going to stop having this. We can't say Aaron Rodgers is a bad man anymore until he comes out and proves that he's a bad man again. Because Vikings beating the Packers for their second win of the season, 28-22 in Lambeau.
Dalvin Cook had him a day, though.
Dalvin Cook had him a day. Dalvin Cook played well enough that he took the ball out of Kirk Cousins' hands. We'll just say it that way.
Dalvin Cook was a stud this past week. You'll hear about him later from me, but Dalvin Cook was a stud.
Dalvin Cook earned his contract and Kirk Cousins' contract because they didn't have to worry about him screwing up towards the end of the game. But the Packers are mentally soft, and they have been for the last two years. They should have been. They were considered a contender for the NFC last year, and they got dominated twice in San Francisco. A team that's notorious, the 49ers are notorious for being soft. I said it when they played on Sunday Night Football in midpoint of the season. I said that the Packers are going to destroy the 49ers because they're just better, more physical. The defense has gone away. Aaron Jones not on the offense has taken away their identity. It's bad. I'd say it's panic mode in Green Bay. Because
losing at home too, especially in Minnesota, that's
you're keeping Chicago alive. You're going to have to do what you did in 2010 and go through a wild card spot when you have one of the most talented teams in the league. You have I think the most talented quarterback to ever play the position in Aaron Rodgers, at least for what he's shown right now. And you're going to waste it again if you don't figure out some way to get your team in a little bit better mental condition, which I don't know what you do for that.
And that goes all the way back to the draft. There are so many. This is one of the best receiver classes we have seen in a very long time. Harry Rodgers has been shown his spurts. Jerry Jeudy has shown his spurts. CeeDee Lamb was really good when Dak was playing.
T. Higgins in Cincinnati.
T. Higgins has been good. Chase Claypool has been one of the best players in the NFL thus far. There's a lot of things the Packers could have done to help Aaron Rodgers out, and still are not doing it.
I mean, offensive line would have helped too. Cause,
anything.
Yeah, they had an offensive. Bakhtiari's gone down with an injury earlier on in the season. They really set them. They thought that they were playing checkers when everybody else was playing chess or whatever the saying is. Probably the other way because chess is more difficult to play than checkers. Obviously, I was a member of the chess club and the checkers club back in elementary school. But they thought they were doing the smart thing. What they really did was tank themselves when they're in their window right now. They're looking to extend their window just like they got lucky with Aaron Rodgers back in the mid to late 2000s after Favre was done. They thought they were doing that. They ended up not getting their guy for the future because everything I've heard about Jordan Love is terrible. He hasn't looked good, and now you're going to be wasting your current guy. It is very similar to the Favre story.
We're in the conversation of like how it is in basketball. Where's Giannis going to go next? Because the Bucks are wasting him too. Now it's going to be where's Aaron Rodgers going to go next? I mean, it's the point where the Packers seems as though they've shipped the Aaron Rodgers sale. That ship is either done either next year or the year after, and Jordan Love is the future, which is ridiculous because Aaron Rodgers is still in his prime.
I mean,
still in his prime.
They fired Mike McCarthy and brought in Matt LaFleur because Aaron Rodgers said he wanted to update his offense. They've made every single move to quote-unquote use Aaron Rodgers in his window, and what they've done is they probably pissed him off to the point he's going to leave, just like they did with Favre. And they've wasted. I mean, Devontae Adams is a great receiver. Aaron Rodgers is great. They've had Bakhtiari. They've had great teams around them.
Had its spurts as well.
I mean, when they had a window to win 2 or 3 championships, become a dynasty, and they just got won and just got rubbed out, the same way Favre did back in the 90s.
We could be talking about the Packers dynasty like we have been with the Pats. Aaron Rodgers could have 4 Super Bowls by now, but the Packers have been unwilling to draft a weapon for Aaron Rodgers in the first round in so many years.
And that's I don't know, because my organization has its own problems, obviously, with the Bengals. I'm sure you have things that you'd like the Broncos to do differently, but at least the Packers are a difficult fan base to be a part of right now because all your team does is try and set themselves up to win 1 Super Bowl and then set themselves up for the next guy to come in and win a Super Bowl, because Favre should have won 2 or 3. He was I think he won the MVP 4 times or something like that. He should have been able to win 2 or 3 Super Bowls in the 90s, solidify that dynasty. Rodgers should have won in probably 2009, 2010, maybe 2012. They had really good teams in Green Bay. I don't know if I'd be able to live as a fan of a franchise that sets himself up for 1 championship and then just gives a shit with whatever else happens in that guy's career and just look for the next one. It's like re-upping on a subscription.
The Packers moved on from Favre at the right time. And now they're not going to move on from Aaron Rodgers at the right time. They're going to move on way too soon. Way too soon. Aaron Rodgers, I'm still going to say it, he's a bad man, but like he has to have help. He has to have help. And the Packers organization has not done that. If I was one of those people that live in Green Bay and have ownership over the team, I'd lose my shit. Because this wide receiver pool, like I said, has been incredible.
What are my stocks doing?
And you draft Jordan Love, who's not going to play for another 2-3 years.
I invest in 2 things, Dairy Cows and the Packers, and you guys aren't doing anything. What are my tax dollars doing here? It's that's a very interesting. That 30 for 30 is going to be wild when it comes out. It'll be almost as good as the 4 Falls of Buffalo. Buffalo is still one of the saddest fan bases, I think, in the NFL. I love all you people if you are part of the Bills Mafia, but it's been a rough go. It's been a rough go for the Bengals with the 30-year playoff drought. But the Packers, I think, like my team just treating me as a subscription every 15 years. Re-up on your subscription, we'll win a Super Bowl, and then I think that's probably as bad as it could be.
The next game I want to talk about, the probably best game of the weekend, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens. I know you hate both these teams, but I picked the Steelers to win previously. You had Baltimore, and for some reason, Lamar Jackson doesn't like throwing the ball to Marquise Brown and doesn't like throwing the ball to Mark Andrews, and I don't get it. The Ravens are trying to make him do way too much. Way too much. The Steelers just diced them up right at the end of the game. Big Ben found Claypool in the back of the end zone, and it looked like it was way too easy. Their defense needs to be better as well. And we thought we'd see that when they drafted Patrick Queen out of LSU. Yeah. Like, they need to be better.
This game didn't happen in my mind because both these teams can go suck it for all I care. Lamar Jackson, I think that the Ravens are actually doing the right thing with him. Because I've said it the past 2 years, if you get him in the playoffs, all you have to do is throw 6 DBs on the field so you can cover everybody in the route. And then he's not the fastest on the field, so you can come up and contain him. It's been shown to beat him twice in the playoffs. This last year, I don't know if you remember, but they were the number 1 seed coming in and got upset by a wild card team at home. So I think the Ravens are trying to transition him to more of a quarterback. He doesn't throw to receivers well. He throws the tight ends very well. I don't know what's going on with him and Mark Andrews, but he doesn't look right. The Steelers' defense is really good because
I think they're the best in the NFL right now.
They are the best, and they probably could go down. It's similar. It feels similar to the Broncos' 2015 defense, where they could maybe be considered in the all-times. We'll see how It goes.
And they
for
just
the
made
next.
a trade as well for the Jets linebacker. Jets are fire sale as it is, but I mean that's going to help even more with.
And then once Devin Bush comes back, they'll have that guy again. I think Devin Bush is. Honestly, he's the only generational talent that I think has come through and has really lived up to that level. But like their defense is.
I'd argue T.J. Watt has been.
T.J. Watt, he's been great. But like these guys, their defense is so good that Ben Roethlisberger didn't play very well. 21 to 32, he just didn't turn the ball over. What they needed last year. Don't turn the ball over. Maybe throw a touchdown or two late in the game. But the defense is going to keep it close enough and maybe score some points to where we're not going to have to do much. If Hodges and Rudolph didn't have turnover-itis, the Steelers would have been probably the 1 or 2 seed in the AFC last year. That's how good their defense is, and now it's coming to fruition, and I hate it. I hate it with everything in me. The Steelers.
Yeah, last year trading for Minka Fitzpatrick, one of the most underrated trades. Like the Dolphins gave up on him way too soon. He is the top 2 safety.
Imagine what he would do right now in Miami because the Dolphins actually look good. It's weird because both teams ended up coming out on a decent end of it. Yeah. I got 2 or 3 first-round picks from the Steelers. And the Steelers lose 2 or 3 first-round picks, but gain a first-round pick. And he makes up for the ones that they didn't. Because I don't think that the Steelers could have drafted anybody this year that would have been producing like Minka has since he's been on the team.
No, the Alabama cornerbacks and safeties are something to be talked about. Yeah. Like Minka is a stud. Like it's crazy that Miami gave up on him, but they're not in a bad spot. I know this is my upset of the week. I picked it. I had the Dolphins taking down the Rams. It was a wild one. Tua did not look great.
Los Angeles is about to forget football season exists.
Oh my gosh, football season, and they're gonna go back to start cheering for the Dodgers and Lakers. Yeah, because they don't want to talk about football.
I know you're not on TikTok, but there's been some great ones where it's like people are doing skits as the Lakers and the Dodgers. It's like. The Lakers like, what the hell are you doing, bro? And he looks at it, and the Rams are 5-3. I thought we were doing pretty good. Like we're over 500. It's like if you don't come back with a chip, we're disowning you. And he like flinches at him. They're about to get. They just built that brand new stadium in Inglewood. They're about to get evicted, kicked out. They're gonna have to go back to St. Louis and battle the Battlehawks for the dome. It's dire straits for the Rams right now.
Yeah, if you're not the Dodgers or the Lakers, LA is not the place to be for sports. It's the top 2 teams, how it always has been. Dodgers, Lakers, and everyone else just sucks. Clippers, I'm gonna say it every week. Clippers blew a 3-1 lead, baby. Never forget that choke job. The Chargers they shouldn't be in LA. They should still be in San Diego because they're a piss poor organization. They're a piss poor organization who can't fill up their own stadium when they with their own fans when it's actually
fill up a soccer stadium.
Exactly, like it's ridiculous. The Rams, I thought everyone had this big hype train around them, and then you lose to the Dolphins, who with a starting quarterback whose first career start.
And he played like shit. Tua did not look good.
Like Aaron Donald. I mean, we were talking about Aaron Donald's going to kill Tua. Didn't happen.
He got
to him once, but he should have dominated.
Good thing about that game is Tua came out without an injury, so
this is true.
There we go. Let's move on from the NFL because college football was pretty fucking wild this weekend too.
College football was wild, yeah.
We'll start with the biggest upset, I guess, on paper. Texas taking down Oklahoma State. There goes the Big 12's chance at a shot in the college football playoff. A one-loss Big 12 champion and a one-loss SEC champion are 2 very vastly different things, especially when it's Oklahoma State and not Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, Big 12 is completely out.
Big 12 is out. They did the same thing that Oregon did to the Pac-12 last year, where they screwed themselves by losing, and everybody else has already beaten the top schools in the conference, so now you're not going to have anybody else sneak into there. So they ended up screwing the pooch on that one. Sorry for the Big 12.
It was their one chance to get everything right and get the Big 12 back into the Final Four, but it's not going to happen. Big 12 has had big.
Oklahoma's been
good games, but like it's not.
Oklahoma's been kind of carrying the conference for the past few years. They've always been. I think they've been in the playoff every year except for maybe 1 or 2 that it's been around. I think. Yeah, every year with 1 or 2, so it'll be different not having a Big 12 champion in. SEC fans are Big 10 and SEC fans are loving it now. Wisconsin, I don't think is in consideration anymore with the COVID stoppage. But if another team goes undefeated, I actually don't know if there's another undefeated team in the Big 10. But if they had a one-loss runner-up, then maybe Big Ten gets 2 teams in now.
I think a Big Ten team is locked in already. I think
one Big Ten, but I think they now maybe like if they have a 1-loss runner-up, it's the same thing where a team in the SEC loses,
like Alabama loses in the SEC championship. Yeah, that makes sense. But I think like we've been saying, SEC and the like is one of the best conferences. I know you don't think so, but they are one of the better conferences, and there's more likely a chance now that there's SEC is going to get 2 teams.
I would say that Cincinnati benefits from this a lot too, or the group of 5 teams that aren't going to be.
I think the one team that benefits the most out of this is going to be Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame now, even if they lose this week to Clemson, which we'll talk about that in a minute, they can still squeeze in if they are only a 1-loss team in the ACC because they've played a full schedule.
Yeah, Notre Dame benefits, but like they're not. I don't think Notre Dame's going to be a conference champion. Cincinnati's about to be an undefeated for 2 years. If they do end up finishing out the season the way that they should, conference champion in the AAC, and now you're going to have Clemson undefeated ACC champion. I'm going to say Alabama undefeated SEC champion, Big Ten undefeated Ohio State team as the Big Ten champion. I would rather have another conference champion in the 4th spot than a team who lost in their conference championship.
The way I see it is Cincinnati is going up against Notre Dame. If they only have 1 loss, that'd be Clemson. Let's just say if they're only 1 loss is against Clemson, I'm picking Notre Dame in that spot. If it's Georgia, they only have 1 loss, that's against Alabama. I also would put them ahead of them. So that's where I would argue about Cincinnati getting into that 4th spot. I think it's much more likely we get 2 schools from either ACC or SEC rather than Cincinnati getting it, just because the way it is.
I didn't think about strength of schedule. Who would have thought that the one time that the group of 5 teams wouldn't want to play or would need to play tough out of conference schedules, they're not able to. Because if you had maybe like a signature win over a Texas or something early on when they're ranked in the season, that would give Cincinnati. I see the argument that you're posing there, so I'm gonna switch my opinion and agree with you. Let's get to Clemson, because Clemson did have a little bit of a scare. Granted,
pretty big scare.
Boston College is pretty good. I know people don't pay attention to the ACC outside of Clemson. Boston College is no slouch, and it's always tough with the new quarterback. Is it the bad thing? The good and bad thing about this past weekend, Trevor Lawrence contracted COVID. He's going to be out for 2 weeks. I don't know if he's
out. He could not practice all week for Notre Dame. So Dabo Swinney called him out and said, or not called him out about it. I called him saying he's not playing.
He's not out. Yeah, he ruled him out for this weekend. So we're going to have another DJ Uiagalelei. That is right.
Too. That's pretty good.
Uiagalelei.
That was pretty good. I have not been able to pronounce that last name. I
tried the Boston College quarterback too. Jerkovich, I think, is probably how you say that. But we're going to have Uiagalelei again as the quarterback for Clemson. Good and the bad thing about going up against Clemson, their guy went down. Trevor Lawrence going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. Great, we don't have to play against Sunshine this week. Who do they have as their backup? Oh, it's just a 5-star recruit. His name is DJ Uiagalelei. And
dude played well. He had a
6'4", 250 pounds.
Exactly. He had a tough first half, but the second half he came to play and showed why he's a 5-star recruit. Why he's a stud.
Bellflower, California. He is a huge. He's a tight end.
He's a big dude. Notre Dame has a lot to handle with him, and it's not going to be an easy test. Everyone was saying, "Well, chalk it. Notre Dame is going to beat them just because they don't have Trevor." But Clemson, I mean, it'd be better. It'd be a different story if Trevor didn't play this, or Trevor played this week and was out for Notre Dame completely.
Yeah.
Now that whatever played this week and has a game underneath him, that's going to help him even more next week playing Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's exactly the same thinking that I had, because if you go into South Bend for your first game, no matter if you played in however many big stadiums in high school, you go in to play the Fighting Irish in your first game on the road in college football, no matter who you are, that's going to be intimidating. Now you have a game, you got to play at home, and you played against a pretty good team. Boston College is not a trap team. They're not a team that you get caught in a trap game with. They are a good, tough team that they play pretty disciplined, and they had a chance to end up knocking off Clemson in the new situation. Travis Etienne kind of took care of that. But now you got to lean on your leadership. Uiagalelei knows that he doesn't have to do too much. Just don't make don't make mistakes. Be an athlete. Make some plays.
Just make smart plays.
And he's gonna. This Clemson team is still favored by 5.5 points.
Yeah, you gotta let Etienne run the offense and get the running game going because I don't think
they got some pretty good receivers.
Yeah, really good receivers, but don't get all the pressure on Ula, whatever is how you say his name. But don't put all the pressure on him and give Etienne the ball. Because he's inching in the Heisman conversation also. He's inching up there.
He's been underrated for the past couple of years.
And Justin Fields also right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Ohio State has a little bit of an interesting game. This will be either a get-right game for Rutgers, where we figure out, hey, maybe we are going to be competitive this season, or whoa,
yeah,
we got really lucky playing against a bad Michigan State
Let's
team.
hold the bus there. Michigan State did beat Michigan, so we'll say a little bit about that because Mel Tucker still sucks.
Fire Jim Harbaugh, fire Mel Tucker. Michigan, college football in the state of Michigan is bad. Right
very, very bad. I mean, I don't know what Western Michigan's looking like, but the other two schools aren't very good.
Maybe check out a Western Michigan game if you live up there in the north.
But I don't think Rutgers has a chance. Ohio State, Justin Fields is number 2 in the Heisman race, in my opinion, only behind Trevor Lawrence, which could be overtaken with a great game this week if he continues doing that, just because Trevor Lawrence is going to miss 2 games. Mm-hmm. So maybe that'll give Justin Fields more of an edge, but he's right in their conversation. He dominated Penn State. I mean, they lost to Indiana the week before, but Penn State is falling apart. They're 0-2. They should not be ranked. James Franklin is an okay coach, but...
Okay. He's not an okay coach. He's actually... I think he's one of the top coaches in college football.
I guess they just lost Trace McSorley.
They did lose Trace McSorley. They're just in a little bit of rebuilding because they did lose. In the past 3 years, they've lost... Or past 4 years going back, you lose Saquon, you lose Deshaun, you lose Trace, and you lose KJ. And those are all guys that they've built their success around under James Franklin, so now they just got to groom the next. They also lost Miles Sanders to the NFL. They've lost so many guys to the league that it's acceptable for them to stumble a little bit.
Just that
early.
1 year now.
Now you're getting your next group of guys because Saquon struggled in his freshman year. I think they were 8-3 his freshman year. So you're just getting your next group of guys ready for the bigger stages.
Yeah, it just looks worse that they're 0-2 considering it's only an 8-game season.
Yeah, for them, I think that's exactly why people are freaking out. I think they're going to come back and they'll probably finish the season 6-2. And they're probably going to win their bowl game just because they're going to be one of the most disciplined teams coming down the stretch. I think that they're going to find themselves and right their ship. I'm not sure who they play next week.
Yeah, I'm not. Maryland. They play Maryland.
Maryland.
They'll probably
to his brother.
Just say
I was trying to go 3 for 3. Tua's little brother is the quarterback for Maryland. They had a pretty close game against Minnesota.
So Tua's little brother, I don't know how you say his name either. So I think
it's Talia Tagovailoa.
I know I say Tagovailoa. I just don't know how to say the first name.
Yeah. The other big game coming up this week is Georgia, Florida. That's a big game in the SEC East. That'll decide who's going to go play Alabama in the SEC Championship and have the chance to be the 4th team in the playoff, especially now with the Big 12 being out of the picture. So I think I'm going to pick that as my game of the week.
That's going to be a good one. I think another one that people need to keep their eyes out on is Indiana versus Michigan. Yeah. I think Indiana could get themselves into a Big Ten championship game. Say you beat Michigan. I think their next test is going to be Ohio State. But if you knock off Michigan's, it's fire Jim Harbaugh 100% if you lose to Indiana. But I think Indiana could squeeze in top 10, especially if they win this game.
Oh, if they win this game, they'll be top 10. But then they got to go. They go Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Maryland.
Michigan State's a winnable game, but
Michigan State's a winnable game. It's Michigan at home, on the road Michigan State, on the road Ohio State. You get Maryland at home, then you got to go to Wisconsin.
So if they run the table and only lose to Ohio State, we could be talking about them in the final spot.
That would be
chaos. That'd be chaos.
But that's really tough. They have a tough schedule coming up, no matter what. Whether Ohio State was on their schedule or not, that's still. I wouldn't have
it's a murder's row.
Too much faith in them.
Yeah. There's a lot there.
And so those are the 2 big games to watch in college football. World Series. Almost forgot about
One more thing. Pac-12 is back too. Go Buffs. That's my football team because my school didn't have a football team. So go Buffs real quick. They play UCLA at 8:00, but that's all I'm going to say. Pac-12 Dark is back, baby. Yeah. Pac-12 Dark is back.
Game will be over on Sunday morning. Hey, go to CU and play football because you always play on Sundays. The games start at midnight anyways. next thing we wanted to cover,
World Series.
World Series. We didn't get a chance to congratulate the Dodgers because they hadn't won the last time we recorded. I have a friend who's a pretty big Dodgers fan. He lives out in California. Shout out Tim, because you've given us plenty of shout outs on social media. He's a loyal listener. Congratulations to the Dodgers. Congratulations to Clayton Kershaw. And I picked the World Series MVP right.
You guys
Corey Seager.
Like, we're going to keep harping this every week. Listen to our beats of the week.
I didn't win any money on it.
I hit a lot of beats as well. I picked Auburn to beat LSU, and they murdered the hell out of them. I picked Anderson Silva to win, which didn't happen. I also picked Pittsburgh. Won money off that too. So I'm not. Just listen to the beats of the week.
Just listen.
The one big story out of that World Series, which put a whole damper on it, was Justin Turner. Mm-hmm. He got pulled in the 6th inning. I believe it was sixth, maybe it was 7th inning.
Yeah, I think it was the
6th inning with COVID. Completely put a dampen on the whole World Series. He went out there, and it's kind of celebrated, but
he got to be in the
picture. Got to be in the team picture.
Yeah, which
blah
is
blah
good.
blah. I would love to hear your take on this because I think I have a pretty strong opinion about this. But what do you think that whole situation was about?
I mean, if they did find a test midway through a game, that's a little bit weird because I figured they would have run all the tests and figured out who was positive before anybody was let out on the field. Then you run into the situation, the MLB held out Justin Turner because he had a positive test, and then I don't know if he ended up testing positive again and that's why he got pulled, or if he had a positive test and then they just didn't test it in enough time. So I'm not sure about the whole situation there. I do know that baseball is struggling, and I do know that
mightily because Manfred's an idiot.
Yeah,
Manfred is an idiot.
Manfred needed to do
full-on idiot.
If it would have came out afterward that Justin Turner played that entire game with a full-blown case of COVID-19, I think Manfred was worried about if that story comes out, how it would make the MLB look PR-wise, because you just had a champion play an entire championship game in contact with everybody else, like the top of your sport, and you let him play the entire game. You knew he was sick. That would be a PR nightmare. So I think that's probably where you get the pulling him in the 6th inning. I don't know if it's the right thing that they should have done. There probably was a better way to handle it, but that's kind of where I'm thinking. I don't think baseball was worried about his safety or the safety of anybody else in the field. They were worried about how they looked.
Yeah, 100%. The way I see it is he played 6 innings. He played 6 innings, was in the clubhouse, being around his teammates the whole time. Mm-hmm. So he was infected that whole time. It's not like it just happened in the 6th inning. He was positive right there. It happened the whole day. He was part of the whole game, part of the whole pregame festivities. So I understand the point where Justin Turner should have been able to go out there with the team at the end because he was around the team as much as he could, and he didn't have a mask on for the team picture, but for the most part he was away.
Did anybody have a mask on for the team picture?
It was mostly the significant others that had. I mean, significant others on the field had masks on. Yeah. Players didn't, but either way, like I'm one of those people where, like, if you win a championship, he's been on that organization for a very long time. He's all the bad years.
He's one of the mainstay leaders of that entire franchise.
And he's a free agent this year, so he doesn't know if he'll be back next year. So I completely support his stance on being there, just because like he's around that team all day, played 6 innings. Like we said, like it's not like he wasn't contagious then. Yeah. So like it was MLB's fault from the start of not getting him away at the beginning. If there was one positive test at all, that's where he should have been quarantined before the second test pops up.
Yeah.
And that's on the MLB right there. That's on Manfred, who made it even worse on himself because he was slurring his words. I mean, I slur my words too on the podcast, but I'm not the commissioner of the MLB, and he was struggling to get the words out.
Yeah, you haven't openly bashed the World Championship trophy in your sport.
Calling it a piece of metal? Are you kidding me? And then you handed it to the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers fans wanted anyone but Manfred to give them the trophy. And he couldn't even handle the booze. Roger Goodell embraces the booze on draft day. Yeah. Manfred just struggled to get a single word out.
Well,
it's pathetic.
Manfred's got it bad because I think the fans hate him. And then the owners also hate him.
Everybody hates him.
And when you're the commissioner, you work for the owners, basically. And having the people that you work for hate you is not a good thing.
And then there was another report today that said Manfred is thinking about making the World Series a neutral site all the time. How stupid is that?
Fuck that.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Get rid of him, please.
God damn.
I don't know what goes
Oh
into
my
getting
God,
a new commissioner,
man,
but
you're
they should look
terrible.
into that. I agree with you.
No, the hell no.
No, they should look into getting a new commissioner.
Oh, I thought you were talking about keeping the neutral site.
No.
Yeah, get rid of it. Hell yeah.
They need to get a new commissioner. I wanted to go back to talking about Justin Turner being on the field and whether or not he should have. Being this is called the far end of the bench for the reason is like we were always playing, but there were some times where we weren't the ones that were starting or maybe had the most impact on the game. I just think about like personal experience. I had to sit out the year that we went on the state championship run, and I know you weren't the starting fullback at that point. You were kind of splitting with Luke and Trevor and DJ Luke. That's what I meant. But so even though I wasn't able to be suited up for the varsity games, I was still going through practice and everything like that. So I understand he wasn't on the field towards the end of the game. He did have to get pulled off on the field, but I know exactly what his feelings were wanting him to be out there, because no matter what you produced in the championship, there's countless amounts of hours that people I think sometimes forget or just don't care about with professional athletes. That he worked his ass off to win that championship, so hell yeah, he's going to go back out there and celebrate. I don't blame him at all.
I don't have a problem at all. MLB's knowing Manfred's dumbass, he's going to say something and give him a suspension. He's going to suspend him more than they did the LA Astros team, which is going to be ridiculous.
They didn't give anything to the Astros, by the way, who were caught openly cheating.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and
he
didn't revoke a championship anything, so yeah, he's probably going to give Justin Turner absolutely everything that he can because he doesn't like the Dodgers.
Manfred, just stop. Please don't be commissioner anymore.
Let's move on to something better with a promoter that we can maybe get behind. I don't know. He's behind himself pretty good. He's behind himself pretty good. No pause. He would love that. He's the epitome of the scene from American Psycho, where he's staring at himself in the mirror. I wear an ice pack every single morning and make sure that my skin is exactly 63 degrees. The UFC said goodbye to a legend over the weekend. I don't know if it's
UFC said goodbye to a legend, but there's still questions to see if Anderson Silva's career is done.
I don't know if he's confirmed that he's not going to fight anymore. It should probably be confirmed that he is. He got TKO'd in the 4th round to Uriah Hall, who's a good up-and-coming fighter, but Anderson Silva, I think one of the most dominant champions I've ever watched in combat sports. I think when he was at his best, he beat some people that I have no clue. Vitor Belfort on TRT, as much TRT as possible. Crane kicked him in the face. Did the Karate Kid kick him in the face? And then Forrest Griffin, who I thought was invincible, couldn't even land a punch on him. Knocked out Chris Lieben. Chris Lieben has a chin. I think he's a zombie anyways, like part zombie. And he knocked him out. So like he's beaten
he's one of the greats.
The best of the best for so long. Anderson Silva, barring the last few years since he got his leg broken, I would think he was the greatest fighter of all time.
It all went downhill after the Chris Weidman fight. He got too cocky with himself. We never really saw that as much in his early fights. Yeah, he had that swagger to him, but he wasn't as like.
He was in the Matrix, but he didn't let anybody else know.
Exactly. Chris Weidman tagged him up, and that was the end of things. And then he had the rematch, and the leg broke, and then everything went downhill.
And then he got busted for gas station supplements.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Apparently in Brazil they give steroids in their gas station Viagra supplements.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because there are a lot more MMA fans now just because of everything that's happened during COVID and people are just beginning the sport and they never got to see Anderson Silva in his prime, because when he was in his prime, he was one of the best in the world.
You knew every single time. I mean, the only time that he ever looked, besides the Weidman fight, like he was going to lose was the first Chael fight. And he ended up pulling out a victory. That's one of the greatest finishes in UFC history, in my opinion. So if you are a new fan, and you just got an ESPN Plus subscription, you can go back and watch all the old UFC fights.
Fight Pass, either one.
UFC Fight Pass, just Anderson Silva. It was weird because he wasn't great in Pride. When he was fighting in Pride, he wasn't a champion or anything like that. Comes over to the UFC, becomes one of the most dominant mixed martial artists of all time. But he fought too long, and now everybody all the new fans see him as this old washed up guy who everybody loves. Like they have no understanding why Daniel Cormier and Stylebender and Uriah Hall give Anderson Silva as much respect as they did, just because they missed out on his career. So go back, watch Anderson Silva when he was the Spider, and see how deadly he was, because he's honestly one of the most dominant champions I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's an end to a great career, man. It's unfortunate that his career ended the way it has, but he's a Hall of Fame first ballot. due to technical difficulties, and my dumbass doesn't know how to work the camera sometimes, we're going to have a small little ad. Except we don't have an ad. So we're going to plug the NFL Unhinged show on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. to noon to 12. So it's a 2-hour show. How about that? 2-hour show. I'm going to have to wake my ass up that early at 8 a.m. But be sure to check me, Jimmy out, the JDash guys, the High-Low Sports as well. Man, all of us.
Gridiron Gallery.
Gridiron Gallery, a little bit of everything. Maybe we'll have more guests on. Who knows? Be sure to check us out on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, if you want to see what a budgeted Sam Ponder looks like, you can. Actually, I don't know if we're doing the video, but you'll be able to hear. I'll be moderating, and we got tons of opinions.
You can picture Sam Ponder, but hear Jimmy's voice.
Yeah, that's exactly. Everybody makes. I sound exactly like Sam Ponder, but that's coming up on the Unhinged Network live Sundays from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time.
So without further ado, since we don't have another ad, let's go back to the show.
Figure it out. Like we're still learning.
I'm still messing around with the camera, my dumbass. So.
Nico didn't go to school for this, so it's fine that he made a mistake. The video, you'll miss that little bit that we just did. If you're listening to the audio version, we're just explaining it for the viewers in the future. On Thursday, we'll have a little bit of a miss where if you listen to the show, the video will have
still
a little bit cut out.
Give me a little.
We'll give you back. We'll go back. So you said you picked the Packers.
Yeah, I picked the Packers.
The
49ers. They don't have Jimmy G. He's out for a little bit. George Kittle's out for 8 weeks as well. Mm-hmm. That's their offense isn't going to put it together. Aaron Rodgers, big Packers going to win that.
I'm picking the 49ers just kind of be different from you. It might change by the time we go. And we're doing our live show. NFL Unhinged is going to be on Sunday.
On Sunday,
this weekend.
8 a.m. I'm going to have to wake my ass up at 8 a.m.
Right, it'll be like I'm getting up for work, but it might change by then. I'm picking the 49ers. I didn't really...
The only thing is that game's on Thursday, so it already would have happened, but either way.
Well, we'll talk about... Maybe I'll be a genius when we're on NFL Unhinged, and I picked the 49ers, and I was the one who got it right. But when I was making this pick, I wasn't sure. I didn't know that Jimmy G and Kittle were both going to be out. That's even the Packers, as mentally weak as they are, can overcome that. First game on Sunday, your Broncos going to Atlanta to play the Falcons. They struggle going to the Eastern time zone. Not gonna lie, but it is the Falcons.
It's a Falcons.
But the Falcons did destroy them 2 years ago.
They're going to blow another lead. It's going to be back-to-back comebacks.
Yeah. Drew Lock is going to turn into the new John Elway just because he has to come back from
fourth quarter.
Or the new Tim Tebow. Is he the new John Elway or the new Tim Tebow?
We're going to say new Tim Tebow because Tebow always had the comeback. So we're going to say new Tim Tebow.
I'm not going to say that he's anywhere near John Elway's level. He has the possibility, but he has to have a lot of things go his way. Pat Sherman needs to get out of his own way and start calling a college offense. Philip Lindsay is great in the offense that they should run. Melvin Gordon is actually better in the offense that they should run. And then you have two really good tight ends in Alberto and Noah Fant and Judy, Cortland Sutton. Like they have good pieces that they're.
Yeah, Tim Patrick didn't play this weekend. Deshaun Hampton stepped up, which is huge.
They're in a good spot. I'm picking the Broncos in this game because I don't think that the Falcons can pull it together.
And the Broncos will go back to 500, baby, and we're right back in the playoff picture.
Yeah, as much as it's going to pain me for the next couple of weeks while the Broncos are going to be in the hunt.
I'm going to enjoy every second of it.
It'll be something. But I'm picking the Broncos. I'm assuming you're picking the Broncos.
Yeah, easily picking the Broncos.
Next game, Seahawks at the Bills.
One of the best games of the week.
Yeah, this is a sleeper, pretty good game. The Seahawks righted the ship, beat up on a San Francisco team that was already beat up, but they finally did what I've been kind of giving them shit for the entire year, where they were winning games, but they were never beating the teams that they should by a lot, and then they were struggling against the bad teams, only beating them by one possession. They had the wake-up call against the Cardinals on Sunday Night Football. I still think probably the game of the year so far, especially for this season, could be one of the best games of the past couple of years. And now I'm picking the Bills because I think the Bills need a get-right game too. But the Seahawks make me a little bit more weary of this pick. This is also one where if we come to NFL Unhinged and I change my answer and pick the Seahawks, it's because it's that close. I thought this was a toss-up game going in the entire time. It depends on what Seahawks team shows up and what Josh Allen shows up.
Yeah, I agree completely. Josh Allen has himself a day. They're going to win that game.
And the Seahawks defense is liable.
Yeah, Seahawks defense is liable. They just added Dunlop, so maybe that will help them out a little bit.
Dunlop.
Yeah, you little salty about that, but it's all right. I'm going with Seahawks. I think Russell Wilson's still MVP. I think he's MVP right now in the NFL.
So I'm going Seahawks.
Even after 3 interceptions the other night?
Yeah, he's still putting up numbers, ungodly numbers.
This is going to be the game where Josh Allen either announces himself as the sleeper MVP candidate or just the Bills probably going to beat a bad or win a bad AFC East, and make it and host a playoff game. But
that means something though. That division's been dominated by the Patriots, so it'd be worth noting if they win the division. So.
It'll be a little bit of a letdown because right now the Bills were looked at as maybe a 1 or 2 seed, and I think that if they lose this game, they'll probably be looking at a 3 or 4 seed winning the division. So it's still not better than they have been. Obviously, they haven't won the division in I can't remember how long, since probably the Jim Kelly '90s Bills.
Since Tom Brady, like before Tom Brady.
Yeah, so they're still a good team, and I think that they'll play the Seahawks well. This is going to be another game where the Seahawks have to win a 1-score game, which they're one of the best at doing it. They're the opposite Chargers, but
opposite Chargers, opposite Falcons.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm picking the Bills in that one. You're picking the Seahawks.
Yeah, next game we have the team that both of us mistook last week. Chicago Bears going into Tennessee. Both these teams.
We're gonna find out who the real imposter is.
Yeah, the Bears. We both thought they were gonna be able to pull off the Saints. They almost did.
They almost did.
And then the Titans just shit the bed when they played your Bengals. This is gonna be a good game, I think. But it's a tough one tough one to bet on. Especially a tough one to bet on.
Yeah, this one I would stay away from betting wise. It's a really good defense going up against a really good offense, and then and it flip-flops for both of them. The Bears have probably one of the better defenses in the league right now, and the Titans have one of the better offenses in the league.
With the best running back in the NFL.
And they have the NFL's rushing leader, and Tannehill's been really good since leaving Adam Gase. But then you look at the other sides of the ball, Nick Foles and that Bears offense is shit. And the Titans defense is bad. Like, Nick Foles is not going to have to worry about getting sacked this week because the Titans couldn't sack anybody against our 8th. I know it's hyperbole. They couldn't sack anybody against our 8th grade football team. But honestly, when you can't get a sack against the Bengals' 2 offensive line, it's not that far off.
Yeah, Clowney needs to play better. I'm picking the Titans here because I think that week was a trap week because they played the Steelers the week before and they were focused about that.
It could have been a letdown game.
Could have been a letdown game. I think the Titans get back on track. I shouldn't have picked the Bears last week, so they pissed me off. I'm going Titans.
I'm picking the Titans too because I can't see I talked myself into the Bears once and they screwed me, so I'm not going to talk myself into it.
They screwed both of us last week.
That was one where we couldn't throw each other under the bus because we both shit the bed there.
Next game we have Baltimore going into Indianapolis. Baltimore coming off a loss and Indianapolis coming off a win against Detroit. I think this is going to be a closer game than what it should be. I'm picking the Ravens here, but do I think it's going to be as one-sided? No. I think the Colts might stick around a little easier.
This is one of my upset alert games. Colts, they're sticking around and they have.
You're picking Phillip Rivers though? Come on.
No, I'm not picking Phillip. I'm picking the Ravens, but I think this is one of my upset games where I would maybe put money on an upset happening because the Colts. If they have Darius Leonard, it completely changes the entire story because he's one of the better linebackers that I think he can go head to head against Lamar Jackson. But that offense going up against the Ravens defense, who I think are going to bounce back this week because they didn't play very well against Ben Roethlisberger. The Colts have enough playmakers that I think they can be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, without Marlon Mack, they've surprised a lot of people. Jonathan Taylor has played really well.
Hines is a freak. He has that crazy. Yeah. We'll talk more about his touchdown play because that's one of my segments finishing out the show. But it was a great play. It was one of the most athletic things I've seen. And the Colts have been close for the past few years. They just needed a guy who knows what to do in big situations, and Phillip Rivers might not always show it. I think he has the inverse clutch gene where he just gets worse when in the big moments. But
you can take the player out of San Diego, but you can't take the San Diego out of the play.
Are we not going to acknowledge that Melvin Gordon had one of the plays to set up the victory on Sunday?
That was he was a good play.
It was a good play. So I just needed. We bash him all the time. I needed to give him.
I need to say one more thing before we go on to everything because I didn't say this about the Broncos game. But Philip Lindsay is your first, second down back. Melvin Gordon was goal line and third down. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
So you're picking the Ravens. I'm picking the Ravens, but I do think the Colts are a live underdog. Watch out for upset in that one. The next one, Panthers going into Arrowhead.
I think Run CMC's back, so Christian McCaffrey I think is back this week, so that might give them a little bit of extra.
And I do like Matt Rule. Matt Rule's been he's one of the better coaches that transition.
And Teddy Bridgewater has played really well.
Mm-hmm.
He's been
Teddy Bridgewater coming back, that you had a quarterback who wasn't going to make mistakes, and he is talented enough to make some plays. But Matt Rule has been one of the better coaches to go from college to the pros and have success as fast as he has. I think that he's going to be one of the top coaches in the league once he gets a few seasons under his belt. Because he got brought in pretty late. He got brought in, I think, in February. You're already you're halfway through your combine prep. You only have a few weeks until that happens anyway. So now he'll have an entire off season to scout the guys that he wants. He'll have some say in free agency. He'll build the team that he wants to build, and it's going to run through Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey and Bridgewater, but still.
DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson have been pretty deadly for them on offense. Their offense has some weapons.
They do.
Their defense needs some bolstering. Losing Thomas Davis Sr. and Luke Kuechly in the same game.
Yeah, which is not going to help you against the Chiefs.
No.
Who just pour it on. It's.
And they also screwed up this year by taking Derek Brown instead of Isaiah Simmons. We saw how well that worked out.
That just hurts. I'm going Chiefs easily there.
I'm going Chiefs because I don't think anybody will touch them until they get to the conference championship.
Yeah. Next game we have shit show of a game. We have the Detroit Lions going into Minnesota. This is a game that probably no one's going to be watching. Let's be honest, but it's an intriguing matchup for two teams that are on the cusp of the Justin Fields / Trevor Lawrence Super Six.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I think Dalvin Cook is going to be able to run all over the Lions defense, and he's going to be able to take the ball out of Kirk Cousins' hands again. Kirk Cousins loves beating up on bad teams, and the Lions, for as much as they've improved, and for as much as I think Patricia's kind of saved his job a little bit, or at least turned down the
hot seat a little bit. It's a little cooler now.
It's like a lukewarm seat. He's just simmering at this point. I do think that the Vikings are still going to be good enough to beat them.
Yeah, I'm going to give a little bit of love to the Lions because DeAndre Swift, although he didn't have a good week last week, he's been helping me a lot in fantasy football, even though he went 0-3 again this week. It's been a tough year. Don't ask about it, but it's been very bad. But so I'm going with the Lions just because I think Matty Stafford wins games like these where it's a game where like the other team's not as good and like it's like a Falcons game when the Lions, in my opinion, when the Lions beat the Falcons. Yeah. I think it's going to be like a one-score game, and I think Matt Stafford might be able to have a little bit of clutch gene.
I mean, quarterback-wise, the Lions definitely outdo the
Vikings. I think Stafford is far better.
Dalvin Cook is just that much better than any running back that the Lions have, that he'll be able to kind of take control of the game. That's where I see that one going. The next game, NFC Beast action. We'll have possibly 2-6 Giants.
Okay,
depending on how
it's 17-15 now in the fourth quarter, but I don't think they're going to win that.
Possibly 2-6 Giants going up against the Washington football team.
Oh God, it's another terrible game.
Somebody's got to win the
I'll
division.
go the Giants because they showed a little bit of heart this week. And Daniel Jones hopefully doesn't get tripped up on the 20-yard line. So
I'm going Washington football team because they dominated the Cowboys. They're all coming off a bye week. The Cowboys are better than the Giants. Don't even start with that shit. Get the Giants out of here. They're not even in the same league as the Cowboys. The Washington football team shows some pretty good promise. I think they'll beat the Giants. I think that they're gonna win like half of their division games and get throttled by everybody else. They'll still be.
Do you know even who's starting this week for the football team?
Maybe Kyle Allen, and I'm fine with that. I think it is Kyle Allen.
It's a trash can game.
I'd take Kyle Allen over Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes isn't good enough to win on the road yet.
It's his second year. Everybody held the bus to him. Next game we have the Houston Texans. Another shit show against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out Jim, JDash show. This is another shit show game. Back to back.
Uncle Rico broke his finger.
So Gardner's not playing.
I don't know if he's out, but it is very likely that he's probably.
Who's their quarterback then?
Do you know the backup quarterback for the Jaguars?
No, they're the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes also. I'll just go with the Texans now just because you said that and Jacksonville. I didn't know who their quarterback is.
Jake Letton Yeah, that Mike Lennon is the third string.
So it's probably going to be Michael Lennon, let's be honest. So Texans are going to win that game. Deshaun is still a stud.
Shout out Laviska Shenault Jr. though, because he was a stud at
well.
CU.
Yeah,
he's been playing pretty well in the league so far. But I'm going to give this to the Texans because even though they're both 1-6, there's a very big difference between the Texans and the Jaguars. The Texans were sabotaged by their coach and GM. The Jaguars just are bad.
Yeah, Jaguars are terrible. God awful.
They're trying to get moved to England or something. The owner wants out of Jacksonville. I don't know what's so wrong with Jacksonville. It's warm, muggy, just like everything else in Florida. I don't know what's
bad. Next we have my team's two rivals, the Las Vegas Raiders going into Los Angeles playing the Chargers. This is two teams that I absolutely hate. I hate picking this game just because both teams are teams I hate watching.
You'd rather have both teams lose?
I'd rather than tie. So can I say tie? No, I won't say tie. I'll say the Chargers. They'll bounce back. Herbert's better than Derek Carr.
Well, the Raiders are going to destroy the Chargers. I'm sorry.
I don't care. I mean, I don't mind. I hate both teams.
I picked the Raiders, and that was one of the easier ones that I've been able to pick because there's a big mental letdown against the Broncos, and the Raiders, I think, are a little bit more established in their game plan than the Broncos were. So they'll not get behind by 21 points. They won't let Justin Herbert completely outrace them. The Raiders are the only team so far to figure out the puzzle that is Patrick Mahomes. I'm sure they can figure out Justin Herbert. I'm saying the Raiders in that one.
That's fair. I hate, like I said, I hate both those teams. Next game we have Pittsburgh going up against Dallas. The undefeated team against Ben DiNucci. Ben DiNucci.
Did you see the picture of him on the sideline looking like, how did both of these guys get hurt? I was supposed to be on the practice squad. I wasn't even supposed to be here.
Yeah. Ben DiNucci. Upset in the making. Hell no. I'm thinking Steelers.
Yeah,
this is a walk in the park. Maybe we'll see Mason Rudolph come in.
It would be Ben needs all the reps he can get. Ben doesn't look good, but we might see Claypool without Juju Smith-Schuster and whoever, like the fifth string defense for the. I don't think Minka's going to play very much in this game.
Same with T.J. Watt.
He's not going to have to because the Cowboys are imploding. I don't even know if they're playing football anymore at this point. I'm not sure what they call what they're doing out there.
Ben DiNucci, man. God damn, I love your name, but you need a better quarterback than Ben DiNucci.
I'm gonna start calling him Il Duce just because he's the most prominent Italian sports figure now. Not Il Duce, Il Capo, because Il Duce was Mussolini's nickname. I'm not going to do that. Il Capo, he's Il Capo now since Gallo's not in Denver anymore. I'll give love to a fellow Italian, DiNucci. The Gooch.
I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm saying there's going to be a fullback touchdown. Derek Watt's going to score. I'm calling it now. That's not my beat of the week, but I'm just going to say it because the Pittsburgh is going to kill them so bad that Derek Watt gets himself a touchdown.
Do you know how bad it is? Do you know how mad it makes me that I picked the Steelers in this game?
It boils your.
I know that it's the right thing to do, and I know that it's a guaranteed win. But god damn it, it still doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I don't have the stats on the weekly, but next week we'll come out with all the stats, and I think you're killing me, but you have to be a smart person to pick the Steelers here.
I pick the Steelers.
Next game we have Tua coming off a win against a tough Rams team going to the Cardinals off a bye week. Like I said, Kyler Murray is the highest or yards per rush average in the league right now. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it's going to be a sleeper game to watch. Miami, like I said, Tua versus Kyler Murray is a fun matchup to watch.
Yeah, we get a rematch of that quarterback duel from the playoff 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Alabama played Oklahoma. The only difference now is that I would say the Cardinals are Alabama in this situation and the Dolphins are Oklahoma, where going into that game, you knew Alabama's defense was going to manhandle the Oklahoma offensive line and Kyler Murray was going to have to be special. That's Tua this week. The Dolphins, they've been able to string some things together. I actually feel worse for the Cardinals if Fitzpatrick was playing in this game because he knows what to do and how to prepare in an NFL game, and Tua is just still learning that. He's been in the game 1 week. The Cardinals are too good to lose to the Dolphins. I'm picking the Cardinals in this one, and I think it's an offensive explosion, and this is a game where the defense can take advantage of a young quarterback.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. I wanted to pick the Cardinals.
just because how well they played against the Seahawks. But coming off a bye week, man, I think maybe Cardinals fall asleep a little bit. I think they were all juiced up. I picked
the planned week off because it's not like a bye week like the Broncos had.
Yeah, I think maybe the Dolphins are able to put it together another week. They shocked a lot of people. Beat the Rams last week. Rams are a playoff team more than likely. I think they shocked the world again. Beat the Cardinals. I think Tua is going to have himself a day. I'm gonna pick Dolphins. They helped me out last week when I picked them. I'm picking them again.
I think you're proving why I'm beating you in the pick'ems.
I picked the Dolphins last week, man.
I know you picked the Dolphins last week, but the Cardinals and the Rams are pretty different, I would say.
I don't know. Rams, they're about even in my book.
I mean, that's the best division in football.
Yeah,
the
by far.
The NFC West is the best division.
By far.
All those teams are at least 5-3. I think the Rams are last at 5-3. So it's the best division. But I don't know how you can pick the Dolphins over the Cardinals after what they did to the Seahawks. Next game, rematch from Week 1, possibly 5-3 Buccaneers hosting the Saints.
They're up 22-17 now.
So they're going to be 6. It's going to be the Bucs are going to be 6-2 going into it.
I think this is going to be a completely different game than the first week.
Yeah, obviously. It's not in the dome.
The Saints won the first game back in Week 1. They played lights out. I think the Buccaneers needed to get games underneath them. Yeah. And now Tom Brady is looking like the man. Like the man he is. And he's showing why that the Patriots' legacy was built not on Belichick. It was built on Brady. Built on Brady. Patriots are falling apart piece by piece, and Tom Brady is still thriving. And Gronk is getting into stride too. I'm picking the Bucs here easily.
Yeah, I'm picking the Bucs in this game because they Week 1 everybody was still getting to know each other. It's like
and they might have Antonio Brown this week too.
I hope he doesn't fucking play. He's a piece of shit.
Hopefully he doesn't take away from Mike Evans and his touches because he's on one of my fantasy teams. So.
No, but outside of Brady, Gronk is starting to look like himself again. I think Cameron Brate is the other tight end that's playing right now.
Yep.
Perriman was going to be. Do they have Perriman or Godwin still? I think they have
Godwin. Godwin's been hurt.
Teaming up.
He's been hurt.
But when he's able to team up with Brady, that's been good. And then Humphreys has come out of Scotty Walker.
Yep, Scotty Walker.
Well, Scotty Walker's come out of nowhere, and he's like a new Wes Welker for Tom Brady. So like, they've all gelled together, and I think I'm gonna keep saying it every single week. Breeze is washed. Breeze is washed. He can't throw it farther than 15 yards down the field. He's getting carried, drugged, kicking and screaming by Alvin Kamara, breaking 18 tackles every time that he has the ball, and just doing all that he can to try and get as close to the end zone. Make it within 15 yards, so maybe Drew will throw one past the goal line.
Yeah, I don't think he's washed.
Just say it.
He's not washed. He's not washed.
He's worse than Peyton was in 2015.
No. Wait, Peyton was really, really bad.
He's worse than Peyton was in 2015.
Drew Brees is not
I guarantee you.
Drew Brees is not there yet. Next game we have. This is such a bad game. This should be a crime that's on Monday Night Football. The Patriots, who are not the Patriots, not the team we're used to seeing, like going into New York.
Jared Stidham watch.
Jared Stidham watch. I don't know. I'm picking the Patriots because I'm still on the bandwagon that the Jets are going to go 16. So I think Cam Newton has himself a better day. But Belichick said some pretty big things. He was like, "There's a reason why we won 3 Super Bowls in the last, or whatever, 5 years, is because they've sold on everything, and now it's showing because all those players are gone."
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. He took advantage of his window and got as much as he could out of it. I picked the Jets in this one.
Oh God, Jimmy! Jimmy, what are you doing? Oh, Jimmy, you're now jinxing your brother and picking the Jets. You just that was a death wish. It would be better if you picked the Patriots. Dom, I just want to let you know, Jimmy just jinxed your team winning a game. I'm sorry, this is bad.
But how cool would it be that I was the guy who picked the Jets to upset the Patriots and break their losing streak? That it no longer be the team.
I still think Flacco is their quarterback this week. I don't know if Darnold's back. You really think
Darnold's been back? Yeah, Darnold goes in and out. If I was Darnold, I would only play against the really bad teams because the Jets are good enough that you can look good against bad teams.
Oh wait, listen to what you just said there.
They are.
Jets are good enough.
How many points did they score on the Broncos, Nico?
They lost still.
But they scored over 21 points, right?
Still lost.
They're not beating the Patriots. No chance.
The Patriots are the Patriots.
Belichick is a lot smarter than Adam Gase, and that's just facts.
We'll see. And
that's just facts.
We'll figure out something that you got to do when we come in next week and the Cardinals beat the Dolphins and the Jets beat the Patriots.
I'm not too worried about the Cardinals. If that happens, whatever, I'll be fine. But if the Jets beat the Patriots, I'll go back on everything I just said.
Okay. We'll see what happens next week. That's penance for the listeners and the viewers to tune in next week, and we'll figure out what happens.
Maybe I'll wear a Bengals jersey or something next week if the Jets win.
Speaking of the Bengals, automatic win this week, bye week. Way to go. We're going to have another Victory Wednesday next week, baby. Yeah. Unless the Broncos shit the bed against Falcons.
Yeah, but it's Falcons. Shitting the bed only counts when you're playing good teams.
At least the Bengals aren't going to be the reason we screw up Victory Wednesday next week. They can't lose. I'm telling you. They'll figure out some way. Maybe somebody will get arrested or something.
Broncos get the ball with Phil Lindsay, we won't lose. That's all I'm saying.
That would be smart, but we have learned Pat Shurmur doesn't like to be called smart. But we'll move past this, and we'll get more into some more shit talking and finish out this episode with our segments. We're coming up here on the end of episode 13 of Far End of the Bench. If you're still listening, I bet you guys still are. And we'll start with Beats of the Week, and it's...
You guys gotta listen to these weekly. Like we post a picture of everything that goes on. We show the pick them together and the Beats of the Week together. Go look at them every week and take your bets, man, because we've been hitting on a lot.
We've been making some money. It's getting...
I'm winning money. Listen to me. Fuck.
Yeah. Nico doesn't want to win all of it. We spread the love.
Spread the love.
And then give 10% to the Far End of the Bench as a tip for the dealer. Just, it's commonplace. When you buy a winning lottery ticket, you give a percentage to the person who sold it. It's just common courtesy. But going through the Beats of the Week, since we started the podcast when there was basketball, hockey, and all these things.
There's baseball too, technically.
Yeah. But now it's getting pretty slim, and there's not even a UFC card to really bet on this weekend.
Yeah, wait till you hear my last beat of the week. You'll think, what the hell am I doing here? But I'll start. Broncos are underdogs to beat the Falcons. They're plus 170. What the fuck are they doing, Vegas? Get your shit together. Broncos beating the Falcons plus 170. Yep, I'm calling that. It's ridiculous. They're plus 170. At least be a little bit respectful. Make it minus 110 each.
Yeah, that's probably closer. It's got to be something to do with the history the Broncos have on the East Coast. And the last time they played the Falcons, even though neither team was very good, Keanu Neal was living. He was living in the Broncos' backfield. So I think that's where they're coming from. It's also you got to give some
plus
love.
170 is disrespectful.
Well, I mean, plus 170 gives the option. It's legal to gamble here in Colorado, the sports betting. I'm not sure if it is in Georgia, but that gives a little bit of incentive, for people who don't normally bet in Denver.
I'm betting heavily on that. I'll tell you that right now.
That's not a bad line. My first beat of the week: NC State to beat Miami plus 290. NC State's they're one of those teams in the ACC that. They obviously were pretty good with Bradley Chubb and Ryan Finley when they were nationally ranked in the top 15, I believe, and they're still pretty good. Miami, as good as Derek King is, and I think they are better than they have been in the past. I think they're still one of the teams in the ACC most likely to get upset moving forward. NC State is my pick to do that. I think they upset the Hurricanes. NC State to beat Miami plus 290.
I think plus 290 is being unfair to NC State a little bit, but like I said with Broncos, but I don't mind that. I think Miami's still a good team. I think their only loss is still to Clemson. Mm-hmm. So it's not Derek.
And they haven't gone into the tank after that. They kind of did bounce back and been playing pretty well.
So I still think Miami will take that, but plus 270 is a little bit disrespectful to NC State. I'm gonna stay in college football for next beat of the week. Indiana to beat Michigan is plus 125. I think Jim Harbaugh is
Is that in Indiana?
I think it's in Michigan. But Indiana is playing Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh's seat is so hot right now, and he's probably gone after the year.
We all think that it's so hot right now, but I bet you it's just fine because he should have been honestly fired after the third time he wasn't able to beat Ohio State, because that's normally how long coaches at Michigan get before they can beat Ohio State. Their loss to Michigan State was disgraceful for the Broncos.
It was very bad.
It was one of the worst that I can remember. It is in Indiana. So Michigan's going on the road to play.
There's another reason. Plus 125. Indiana's ranked higher as well, which is weird to think about Indiana football being better than Michigan football, but I'm picking Indiana plus 125 to beat Michigan.
Watch Hoosiers on Friday night and then watch Indiana see if they can upset the Big Blue. It would be cooler if it was the upset in the Big House. Michigan likes to give up big games in the Big House, but that would be huge if Indiana was able to pull off that one. And you'd win. What was the line on that?
Plus 125.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good, especially for a team that's ranked higher. They beat Penn State, who's halfway decent. Like
it's really good odds on a "Are we sure they're good" game.
Yeah,
that's different.
It's both ways too.
Yeah.
Are we sure Indiana's good? Are we sure Michigan's good? It's one of those games we'll find out.
My next one, Andrei Arlovsky, still fighting. I didn't realize that. I thought he'd retired like 3 times already. Plus 220 to beat his opponent Tanner Boser. Andrei Arlovsky's one of, like, if you watch the Rocky series, you know it ain't over till it's over. You always got a puncher's chance. Andrei Arlovsky can still knock anybody out. The problem is, the longer he fights, the weaker his chin has been getting. So he's liable to get knocked out just as much as he's liable to knock the other guy out. But plus 220 on a Hall of Famer like Andrei Arlovsky is a pretty good line.
That's an interesting.
I don't know anything about Tanner Boser. I don't know if he should win the fight, but if you're gonna gamble.
Yeah, that's fair. My next one, man. We're gonna have our first soccer talk on the pod. Here we go. I'm picking.
Insert FC name.
I'm picking Manchester United to beat Everton outright on Sunday. Right now, outright, not the tie. Just Manchester United to win is plus 140. Picking them to win. Everton's. I don't know anything much about soccer, but I know Manchester United's halfway decent.
All right, government, let's get.
So yes, I'm picking.
Convert that to pounds, please.
I thought I'd add a soccer one to the beat so we can have a little fun. We don't ever watch soccer unless it's the World Cup, and then you still don't watch it. I don't really watch it. So I'm picking Manchester United to beat Everton outright.
Okay.
Let's move on from that.
Yeah, I actually have.
You have no take on that? You don't know if Manchester United's gonna win?
Football.
When you live it, money, bet on some soccer.
My last one, American football. 49ers to beat the Packers is plus 120. And then if you go into FanDuel with the win margin, 49ers to win by, I think, 1-13 is plus 180. But to win by 14 or more is plus 550. And we all saw what happened to them last year. And I do think that the Packers are kind of at a crossroads. The Packers could end up coming out and destroying them. But even if you bet on the 49ers just to win, plus 120 is, I think the 49ers have a good chance to win, and that's a good return for.
That's fair. I think
kind of a lift.
It's going to be a great game on Thursday. If you're watching us on Thursday, go watch that game. If you're listening to us, make sure you go watch it as well. That's one of the best games of the week. It's unfortunate it's on Thursday because there's a lot of shit show games on Sunday that could have been on the Thursday slate, but it works.
Yeah, that'll be something. Now let's move on to player of the week. I'll start off because I think my player of the week is going to piss you off a little bit, just because it's an in-division rival, and he's a guy who's been just having his way with the Broncos defense ever since he got into the league. Won a Super Bowl last year. Travis Kelce, 8 receptions, 109 yards, and a touchdown. He disappeared when he played the Broncos. Only had 1 catch.
Because our defense is good.
And I'm gonna put him back, and I'm giving him my pick for player of the week because, as a leader, as a guy on the team who just got paid a lot of money, and a guy that they're gonna look to try and continue this championship run, he did exactly what he needed to do and bounced back and had a huge week when he hasn't been playing as well as he needs to. They've still been winning, but now. Him going off like that, Patrick Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns, I think, 4 or 5 touchdowns, and had over 400 yards. So when he's on, the offense is hot.
Yeah, Travis Kelce. But take it with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. It was against the Jets. Take that with a grain of salt.
He could do the exact same thing to anybody in the league.
That's fair, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick a guy that put up big numbers against one of the best teams in the league. That's Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns, basically willed the Vikings in a win against Green Bay at Green Bay. I think it's tough to pick against Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook had himself day, and literally Kirk Cousins, like, he had an okay day, but Dalvin Cook was the reason why they won that game. And going into Green Bay is a very difficult thing to do.
Doing that in Lambeau is impressive. I don't think doing it against the Packers defense is as impressive because they're a little bit soft in the middle. But that was great.
He had himself day.
Great performance. Dalvin Cook, I like let Russ cook more than I like let Dalvin cook, even though it's his last name. But he's one of the best NFL players to come out of Florida State in a long time because those guys have been busts recently. I thought he was going to be a bust too, but he's turned it around.
He's played really well, yeah.
When he's been healthy, he's been absolutely dominant. Moving on to play of the week, I'm pretty sure I know what yours is going to be.
I'll let you go first because I'm going to have some fun with this one. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm going to go with the more impressive touchdown, the more athletic touchdown, and the more athletic touchdown celebration. Nyheim Hines, he's a running back for the Colts, got to play since Marlon Mack is hurt, took a pass, little swing pass out of the backfield, crazy spin move, stayed in bounds along the sideline, scored the touchdown. I think he spun from the 15 and then didn't finish it all the way until after he crossed the goal line, and then he got up and did a cartwheel corkscrew backflip thing for his touchdown celebration. My pick for celebration of the year so far, just because the Seahawks haven't done any of their Backstreet Boys dancing. But that is definitely more impressive than what I thought.
No. We're talking. If you guys watch basketball, you watch hockey, you know about game winners. This was a game-winning touchdown and field goal.
Oh, it's not the one I thought you were.
I wanted to pick the Phil Lindsay 55-yard touchdown run.
I
was very, very hesitant on that. I really wanted to do that. But you pick up the walk-off touchdown win. 1 second left on the clock. Drew Lock shows his legs off. KJ Hamler falls in the end zone. Called a butt cheek game because Alberto fell in the end zone with butt cheek.
Yeah.
And then KJ Hamler fell in his butt.
That was me. I'd be out of bounds.
It's the butt cheek game, baby.
KJ Hamler's like 3 feet long.
KJ Hamler, great time for your first career touchdown. Drew Lock put the team on his back. One of the best 2-minute drills we've seen from a Denver Broncos quarterback in 5 years, and that's just facts. So I give Drew Lock a lot of credit there. KJ made a play out of nothing. KJ was right there. Drew Lock found him right in the spot. Game winner. It's a walk-off, man. It's a walk-off touchdown. It's like seeing a walk-off home run, or like Lucas shot when he did in the bubble. Like it was a game-winning. It's a game-winning touchdown.
I'll tell you, scheme-wise, it was pretty beautiful. Just because the way that play is set up, so they have the read option. They could have been a handoff, and they could have tried to score it that way, but they gave Locke the read option in the beginning, and then with the run-pass option. I think it was, I don't know if it was King, whoever was the guy covering Hamler when he came across on his route. He could either cover Hamler, which meant Drew was going to take the ball and try and run it himself, or if he started chasing after Drew, so that didn't happen, nobody's covering KJ Hamler. It was as good execution as I've seen the Broncos have, like on a play where they could have done any 3 of the options on that play, and they probably would have come out with the same, like they probably would have been able to score handing it off, and they probably would have been able to score if KJ Hamler's covered up. I think Drew Lock probably makes it, and he at least has a better chance of getting into the end zone than recent quarterbacks than they've had in the past.
Fantastic.
So
it's a walk-off game-winning touchdown. That's why it's play of the league. I really want to pick Phil Lindsay's touchdown because, like I said, the dude's been unreal, and he hits the hole so hard. Pause on that, but he hits the ball. He runs the ball so damn hard, and I love
he
watching
gets
him play football.
up to the second level fast.
I gotta give love to Drew Lock and KJ Hamler, man. KJ, like I said, first career touchdown. Hopefully that elevates him more because he could be really good. He's fantastic speed.
I'll give you a shout out. Just like I said, that's as a football guy. That's like watching a perfectly executed pick and roll with 0.3 seconds left on the clock. That was just beautiful. Even as an offensive lineman, I could still appreciate that. That's gonna be the ending of our segments. We're not nearly as long-winded this episode as we have been in the last couple
our
of
whole
weeks.
episode will fit into the time slot now.
We got cut off last week on the Unhinged Network. Listen to us on the Unhinged Network every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern, 10 to
or 11 to 1.
11 to 1.
Daylight savings time, Jimmy. Time doesn't change that bad.
Yeah, I'm still. And I work
still
with time zones.
with that.
Well, I work with time zones at my job too, so I'm still getting better with those. If you're listening on Unhinged right now, stay tuned for the Duff City podcast. We got big things planned for the Masters.
Yeah.
I know Duff City's got some big things planned for the
Next
Masters.
week we will have 2 episodes. You'll hear our normal episode on Wednesday. Then we'll have a bonus episode with my good friend, a guy who went to Indiana, loves Indiana sports, but is a huge golf guy. Jeremy Fear will be on the podcast. He'll be shooting the shot with us. I mean, he's going to have a lot to say. Tiger's in the running, man. My beat of the week next week is going to include the Masters. I'll tell you right now. But Tiger's maybe going to go back-to-back. What a great story that was last year. Rory's in the mix. Dustin Johnson. Going to be a very fun podcast. You won't want to miss that. It'll be more likely coming out Friday, too.
If you know Jeremy, he's never at a loss for words.
Oh,
he's going to be able to talk.
Straight excitement.
So, yeah, it'll be a good one next week. So stay tuned for Duff City Podcast. Get your Masters to fill in. And be sure to listen to us on our audio platforms on demand. Subscribe, rate us, leave a review. If you start leaving reviews and they're funny or entertaining or a good story, we'll start reading the reviews online.
Go like and subscribe on YouTube too.
Yeah.
Like we said, if you're listening to the audio on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever you may be, go watch the YouTube show. The YouTube show it's an orange themed day.
Yeah.
I got my
Lots
orange
of
Peyton jersey. Jimmy's got his orange Munoz jersey. I mean, I'm gonna have something different every week. We may not look great, but it's entertaining seeing us interact with each other live in person too.
You could be just another part of the conversation on YouTube. So be sure to like and subscribe. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss an episode.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell. That's, I think. And then follow us on social media: Twitter, Instagram at FEOTB Pod, and TikTok.
Be sure Sunday. Also, look, NFL Unhinged Sunday.
Yeah, NFL
Jimmy's
Unhinged
going to be
coming up
moderating
Sunday.
it. Jimmy's going to be moderating it.
We got a
Wake
lot
your
of guys.
ass up at 8 a.m., those Denver folks.
Yeah, it'll be. If you're not up by 8 a.m. and you get up later in the day, you'll be able to go back and listen.
On your way to church, go listen to us on your drive to church, and just before everything hits and before all football starts, we have a lot of great personalities on the show. You won't want to miss it.
We got JDash and Carlos from the JDash Morning Show. You hear them Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Zach Kyleman from Gridiron Gallery. His show is on the network on Fridays as well. High-Low Sports with DJ and Kelsey. They come out every Thursday on the network. And then Nico and myself. Nico will be more of an analyst. I'm more of the Sam Ponder. Not nearly as blonde or good-looking, but I'll be keeping everything on the rails. And that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be something. It'll continue throughout the rest of the football season, and then depending on how that goes, we might have some basketball shows coming up too, and we'll do something big for the Super Bowl because we got tons of stuff coming on the Unhinged Network and so many great shows on the pod on that network, and we're all just loving being able to collaborate.
Get your fix with everything. Like we said, we're a little bit trick of all trades because we talk about all sports, but there's a basketball podcast, The Reserves.
Yep.
JDash, if you want to listen to the morning show, there's a wrestling show, Chokeslam wrestling show. There's a UFC show, JFO, who we talk a lot with on Twitter, interact with. Dolph City, like we said, golf. There's a hockey guys in Canada as well. Man, there's a little bit of everything.
Connection, yep. So
if you're looking for new podcasts, go check them out. That's for sure.
and they're all on demand as well. So if you miss them on the network, you can go back and listen to all their old shows on every podcasting platform there is as well. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to everybody. I know we mentioned it in our YouTube channel, and then the Center of Attention came out before this. We're recording this episode, but the fundraiser for Coach Barron, his scholarship fund. I'll give you guys a quick update. As of Monday night at 9 o'clock, $22,895 have been raised. The links to those are on our YouTube, in the description of our YouTube shows, and I put them out on our social medias as well. But they're trying to raise $25,000 so a perpetual scholarship can be set up in Coach Ray Barron's name. It'd be huge for future wrestlers, and it's honestly probably the one thing that he would have wanted is a way to be able to help wrestlers get to college from beyond the grave. And if you're able to donate. If you're able to share it. It'll be huge for the family and for Colorado wrestling as a whole. It'd be great.
And then also, if you want to check it out, we post the Center of Attentions on our YouTube as well. You can go back and watch Jimmy's great piece on Coach Barron last week in his Center of Attention. So all the Center of Attentions will be on YouTube as well. It'll only be 2 minutes long. So if you don't want to sit through the whole show, usually you can check out the Center of Attentions.
Yep, quick bites. So with that, I think we got everything out of the way. We've talked for about as long as we can. And this has been Far End of the Bench, episode 13. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace!